June the 4th, 2020. Guys, you're looking at a wide-angle satellite image of the North American continent down into South America. But what you're seeing here is a shore on the Yucatan Peninsula is now tropical depression, Cristobal. But notice that and I'll put this in motion, but notice these outer wings here are pulling in off the Pacific, and then the top of this thing is spread out into the Gulf of Mexico, and you guys in Florida are starting to see some of those clouds, maybe a few thunderstorms. But it's amazing because it's, again, setting on shore. That's going to change Friday, but it's setting on shore, and the people here have been catching it since it was Tropical Storm Amanda that came out of the Pacific Ocean. Landslides, flooding, people have drowned, crop losses. It's been devastating for this part of the country. As we play this forward, you're going to see 2 days of images. This was yesterday. Notice your timestamp at the bottom, June 3rd. You can see Cristobal coming ashore. Now, it was a tropical storm then. Now it's a tropical depression because of it being on land. And that's what they do. When they get out of that water, they start weakening. You start dealing with the land mass and things like that. But again, on the 3rd, tightly wrapped. Now it's starting to weaken some. But it's going to come offshore starting about Friday morning. Saturday, it's going to be in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico, and it's going to come in somewhere in the Louisiana, Mississippi, Texas area. They're kind of centered now into central Louisiana. But at night, it's going to come in overnight. So that makes one of these twice as bad because you can't really tell what's going on. And just like a tornado wrapped in rain, you don't see it. But here, with a nightfall storm like this, guys, you're going to have to really pay attention because you're going to have a lot of problems with the weather. Regardless of how much this thing strengthens, it is predicted to become a tropical storm again. We'll see if it doesn't get close to a Cat 1 because yesterday it was at 60 miles an hour as it came ashore in the Yucatan. 74 miles an hour is a Cat 1. So, if you guys remember last year, we were covering a storm that started on land and came down and came off the panhandle of Florida through that area and then wrapped back up into New Orleans. You guys remember through the Baton Rouge area and south of there, all the tornadoes that we saw? We could have the same setup again. Now, we'll take a closer look and we'll use a different imaging. But right here is the center circulation, and you can see the weather that's being kicked out overnight across the Florida Peninsula, and it's approaching up into the panhandle areas, and it's affecting a lot of weather. And look at the inflow that's coming out of the Caribbean here. Notice that. That's going to be all wrapped up in the storm. Again, by Friday, it's going to be starting to get to the close to the edge of the Yucatan, and by Saturday, halfway into the Gulf, and we're going to look at that model. But again, nighttime landfall. Now, the National Hurricane Center has it set up right there, guys. 35-mile-per-hour winds, 998 millibars of pressure, and it is moving east-southeast, just like it was yesterday, at 3 miles an hour. It's expected to start making that loop sometimes later today. Now, timing is going to be key here, again, overnight, but we're looking at, again, 10 a.m. this morning here. We got tropical depression into 7 a.m. Friday, but by 7 p.m. tomorrow evening, the storm, it's going to be back to a tropical storm because it's got 1 foot in the water and back into its heat engine. 7 p.m. Saturday, going into Saturday night, set up right there, kind of in the center. 7 a.m. Sunday morning, you see where it's at? And there's not a lot of time at this point because of the size of the storm to make a lot of preparation, so you need to be making them today. But what happens is between 7 a.m. Sunday and 7 a.m. Monday morning, the storm will be coming ashore, especially down in South Louisiana. Many of you have been there. I've lived there, and it's very low-lying. It's hardly any hills at all in this area, and very close to sea level. The Mississippi River gets pushed back up because of these tides and currents. So it depends on the speed. It looks like it's starting to move a lot faster by the time it gets out into the Gulf of Mexico, and maybe that will help. with it not lingering in one area as it comes ashore here. And we may not see that flooding damage the way we're seeing down in to Mexico. But we've got a lot of heat built up. It's been hot. The ocean is hot. So we're going to have to watch this one, guys. But one slight change in this from yesterday. The track is narrowed somewhat. Remember this white area, and that means that the center of the storm can go anywhere inside of it. It's not the size of the storm, but yesterday it was reaching from Mobile Bay right there. It's kind of moved in over to central Mississippi coastline and near to Houston. So it's narrowing down, and you see that move to the left or to the west slightly. These things can change at the last minute, but they're doing an average on the different models. And we'll take a look at those models. And this was updated 34 minutes ago at 11 a.m. Eastern. And what you're seeing is kind of the same area being affected that we have seen. But the two most accurate models, the Canadian model and the Navy model, NavGem, are right here. Here's NavGem coming right up the mouth of the Mississippi River, crossing New Orleans and then Baton Rouge. And then your Canadian model approaching shore, but if it gets this close center of circulation, it's already going to be pounding the coastline. And then the CMC shows it taking a hard left, west, and then turning back up. These will change slightly, but they're starting to narrow down. But it looks like that Louisiana, South Mississippi, are going to be the ones under the gun on this thing. Again, these are the newest models that we have. We will update it, guys. It looks like today it's going to set, and into tomorrow set along the Yucatan. And as it does that, it's a good thing for us. It's not a good thing for them because it is slowing the storm down. But once it gets out into that Gulf of Mexico, all bets are off. We're watching it. You watch it. It's a heads up. Be safe.